Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on another episode of the Chronicles of a Black Sheep. Tonight, we have a special topic that we are talking about. This month is Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. So with that being said, and everybody that knows me know that this is near and dear to my heart because my son does have autism and he is on the spectrum. So tonight I do have one of my co-hosts. I have D.W. Randolph with us tonight. And I have a very special guest speaker tonight, Mr. Marcus Boyd, who is an autism activist. And he is also one that is living with autism and functioning. Welcome tonight, Marcus.
Wait. Let's do this like this.
What?
Let's tell it how it really is. Let's tell it how it really is. We have multiple award-winning, changing the world, blowing stuff out the box, autism activist Marcus Boyd. Let's do it like that.
My apologies. I was gonna, sometimes you want to toot your own whistle, so I was gonna let him toot his own whistle.
No, we got to get that man his flaws while he here.
Man, because speaking with him on yesterday when we were doing our sound check, like his story is amazing and it's one of triumph. And even though he's still in the battle, he's in the trenches, he's still going through, and his story is utterly amazing to me. And he brought me to tears yesterday for a few different reasons. But just to give a little background story, I came across Marcus. We are in a Black autism group on Facebook. Marcus is one that's always bringing awareness and showing stuff that he's speaking when he's going to schools and talking to, other people about autism. He's putting it out there. He's putting himself out there, which speaks volumes because, us Black folks and speaking with things with mental illness is taboo and everything else. And he's putting himself in the limelight to speak on it. And just speaking and hearing his story, the parts that I didn't know, I was like, whoa. But we're in a Black autism group and he's always, like I said, just speaking on things. So I just, inboxed him and I was like, hey, did you do podcasts by chance? He's like, yes, I do. I was like, so can I get you on a podcast? I'm just starting out. He was like, of course, respectfully, humbly, I'm there for you. What time? What's the date? Count me in. I'm there. And I was like, you can ask my co-host. I've been ecstatic ever since we talked because, like I said, it's a topic that needs to be discussed. The awareness needs to be there. So, Marcus, what made you become an advocate for autism?
Well, I mean, first of all, I never considered myself a black sheep, but I consider myself, in the family. Definitely got to give big kudos and major props to D.W. Randolph and stuff of that nature, all the work that you do. And I really love your podcast. So, I became an activist. And I use the wording differently from advocate to activist. The difference for me is I'm not just going to sit on social media or bunk links and say I'm an advocate and don't go out there and get my hands dirty or don't get in the mud. Because I'm getting in the mud. I'm going to get my hands dirty. So that's why I say I'm an activist. And, when you're the first African-American male to win 4 awards for being an autism activist, it sets different precedents. It sets volumes.
Yes. So, tell them, brother. Tell them. Wait. Say that again. Let them know what you just said.
I said when you're the first African-American male to win 4 awards for being an autism activist, it sets different precedents, different volumes.
Yes.
So, and it sets history. And it shows our community that a label or a diagnosis cannot be put on you if you do not believe it. But as long as you got again, like I told her, as long as you have the right team around you, because every autism individual needs the correct team. May it be speech therapists. I'm old, so back then it was a behavior aid. Now it's a peer specialist. Maybe your social worker, your therapist, your doctor, your counselor, your intermeter person, whoever those people are in your inner circle, because it does take a village to raise a child. And in this case, it takes a real village, a real solid, strong, not giving up, dedicated, determined individuals to help push our autism children to the next level.
So let me ask you this. So before we even get started, before we even get into the question and answers, please tell us your story. How did you get? How was it growing up with autism, and how did you get to this point?
It was, I was born with autism, January 31st, 1983. I come from a household of 22 kids. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, between Atlanta and Brooklyn, New York. So my grandmother, who had 24 kids of her own, so it's like a summer camp in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. So, pass the peas or beanie weenies and hot dogs, that was real prevalent. Government cheese, we look forward to that. Pork in a can, that was our life.
I remember that.
So, we was, as Cardi B says, we was poor. You got to use two words. We was poor. So, I didn't start talking until I was 13 and a half at a 2-year-old's level. 6, 7 different doctors we went to in Atlanta, and, a couple of doctors in Brooklyn, New York said basically the same thing, that your grandson has severe case of autism. Never going to talk. His education is going to be very little. He will always need some type of caregiver to feed him, clothe him, bathe him, to watch over him, to make sure that he's good. Basically, his left side of his brain doesn't function correctly as other individuals. I'm 38. I have a bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communications from Ashford University Online. That my sisters and my grandma helped get. I have 13 music awards. I've been nominated for a Grammy 7 times, and I have 4 Autism Activist Awards. I have my own clothing line, my own shoe line, my own hashtag, which is hashtag I Speak Autism. So I own it. So, we coming out with a stage play at the end of this year. We're working on the comic strip, the children's book. It's a lot of stuff they're doing. And I'm just blessed to have a team around me to see the vision and understand that it's not about me. It's about the autism individuals and families.
That's what's up. I see you over there being a little Tyler Perry. Go ahead, stage play. I just want a cameo. I just want to walk across with my head like this.
Well, if you're in the Atlanta area, it's supposed to be in October. I definitely can give y'all details and locations and all that good stuff way ahead of time, months in advance. So I don't know if you're near Atlanta, by Atlanta, whatever, because currently I'm in the west side. I'm in Arizona. So, it's way different from.
I'm a little bit away. I'm in Korea right now. Other obligations. Cool. Yeah. So,
we're definitely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you good. I'm sorry. This y'all show.
No, you the guest, man. You like, hey, yeah. So let me ask you this: how was it being, like you mentioned earlier, the first Black activist? How was it just being Black with autism growing up?
It was very hard because I had a group of bullies bully me every single day. And then when you're in Brooklyn, the streets are your parents versus your grandparents. You understand what I'm saying? You're across the street from Baptist churches. You are next door to liquor stores, bodegas, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So these type of individuals become your blood family, not the people that's inside your apartment building that you stay in. So, like when I was 10 and my best friend, God rest his soul, Tony, his hair got blown off my face. He was almost 11 years old. You understand what I'm saying? He gave me my first pair of Jordans. His family used to feed all of us in that 1-bedroom apartment. There was a lot of rice and beans. Hey, with water. You know what I'm saying? So we did what we had to do. And, I was going through physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. I was in 16 different foster homes, 16, 17 different group homes, 4 inpatient We talking about electrical shock therapy when I refused to take Ritalin, Paxil, Depakote, Seroquel, Zoloft. We talking about 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. I didn't get off medication until I was 24. I was still having problems using the bathroom on myself until I was 18. So I'm pretty. So I get from every side of the coin dealing with autism. I literally get it.
And that's what makes you so unique, because like we were talking earlier, you see every other side. You see it from the doctor side, you see it from the parent side, you see it from the caregiver side, you see it from every side, but an individual who's actually experiencing autism. And it's not because they don't want to tell their story, or it's just that they can't. And now we have somebody who can actually tell their story. It's time for people to like put the whole package together. Like, okay, this is what these guys are experiencing. This is what they're going through, and it's time for folks to listen, because again, in our community, we kind of shun away from that. Oh, he's not right, or we want to no, don't mess with him, or like you said, and I irritated. I'm a fairly large dude, so bullies don't they rub me differently. That's the word I'm gonna use. They rub me differently. So when I hear folks getting bullied, I kind of, the hair on the back of my neck raises up. But I hear it a lot, sad to say, from individuals like with autism or Asperger's or whatever. And that's crazy, and it shouldn't be like that. Like you said, it takes a village. So I'm gonna stop talking, because I'm just like, I'm excited for something. Now finally we get to hear from your point of view, like what's the business? Like I like to say, what's the business?
I say that too. I do. I be saying that to my nephews all the time. I already know what the business is. I do.
Yes. So Marcus, yesterday you shared with me some information, and I know that people here in the group homes and everything that you were in during this process, can you tell us what happened with your parents that led you into going into a group home?
We can start with the foster home first, because Dorothy Carr Gospel was my social worker from 4 to about 17, 18 years old. She passed away when I was like 17, 18. She was an intern at DeKalb County, Decatur, Georgia, near Avondale Station. Deborah White was her supervisor. So she was a big lady that drove a Ford Taurus with no heat, and her stockings ran. And she had 50-something cases on her desk. So, but with Big Tommy, that's what I'm referring to. That's my biological father, so I don't want nobody to get confused in the conversation. So he didn't like that 10 of his kids, his sons, didn't have those, visible situations where you can visibly see there's something different. His 11th son had those visible situations. So when he tried to take us to the park, Grant Park, and stuff of that nature, I couldn't catch the football, or I couldn't pass the basketball, and I would have emotional behaviors in public, or what you would call extreme temper tantrums. So I would have this in public. So, when he kept punching me in my face and I was about to be unconscious, and he was choking me with the swing chains, and when he spit in my face and said that I was the M word and I was the R word and I can't be his son. My mom cheated with an R word guy to make me never want to sit by me. We could never really be in the same car. I remember when I touched his Nintendo, he had Duck Hunt. I guess back then it cost a lot of money. Don't touch Duck Hunt or Super Mario Brothers, by all means.
Hey, I still play them. Real talk.
Right. Right.
So when he took the Uncle Joe bat from Pep Boys, and when he kept hitting me, and he said, since you love to touch my remote control, when he kept, he peed on me, in my face, stuff of that nature. And again, he spit on me. Now, this is not my stepdad. This is the guy that actually helped birth me. It had something to do with me. And unfortunately, if you see him on his mugshot, I look like him. So we can't say I'm not his son. because proof is in the pudding. I look exactly like him. So, my mom was a Lifetime movie. That's what she was. She was a Lifetime movie. She followed everything he said, every command, whatever. When I was 4 or 5 years old, he was trying to burn on the stove. It's that nature. See, Big Tommy is an extreme monster. Very, very, very bad. So today, Big Tommy is on 9 life sentences plus 20 years in the state of Georgia. So that's where he's at. He'll never come home. He'll be a number when he passes away. Do I wish that on him? No. Do I wish that on him? No. Do I still send him money on his JPay? Yes. Do I accept the JPay emails? I sure do. Because God is greater than my anger. So.
And that story is what, that had me crying yesterday. But
yes, ma'am.
When we got to talking about parts in the Bible, and it says, I will make your enemies your footstool. I don't know any better explanation than that when you tell that part of that story, because I couldn't imagine being treated that way by my father.
I mean, it was constant. So, when I got pissed whipped when I was 4 years old by him with the Glock 9, and I was in the hospital for months, and his brothers was calling to threaten my life. And if I say anything to anybody, I'm nonverbal. Okay? I can't read, write, spell. I don't even know how to put Marcus on a piece of paper. So who I'm gonna tell? It's just a mere fact that y'all was calling my hospital, threatening my life, and y'all. I'm 4 years old, and those are my real biological uncles. So I'm not understanding none of that. But thank God for Dr. Carr, because before I got foster care, I was in her house with her 3 kids. She was a big woman. I guess that's why I love big women right now. But she was a big woman, and she didn't play the radio. She didn't play the radio. She didn't. She used her size to be a force, and she didn't let nobody do anything to me. If it was not for her, she the one who taught me the elements of reading, writing, arithmetic, when she didn't have to. When she was an intern to be a social worker at Defects. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to make sure that when I was in the adoption line, she gave me my clip-on ties and my white shirt, my white button-up shirts. She gave me my Bigger Boy sweaters. Again, I'm old people, okay? Don't say nothing about Bigger Boy.
I remember Bigger Boy now. Go ahead.
She gave me my Bigger Boy sweaters, my little Payco suits, little purple jean Payco suit. You know what I'm saying? Looking like money.
But you was sharp though, boy. You was sharp. You was
in that Payco.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
Yeah. Man.
You are really like showing your age right now, for real. Oh my God. Yeah, for real. We showing up. All of us is showing our age. Yeah, definitely on that. Though. Oh my goodness. So Marcus, not limiting anything in your life, any of the trials that you've gone through. There was a story that you told me about where you were homeless.
Oh yeah, I was homeless for 3 years in the state of Georgia. We went to Peachtree and Pine. Right now, Peachtree and Pine is no longer there. There was across from Crawford Long Hospital. Now it's called Emory Hospital, on Piedmont and stuff of that nature. It was probably the worst and nastiest men's shelters ever, because you slept on concrete with your luggage, and if somebody pissed right next to you, that's what it was. It was not like there was bathroom or anything else, and you had to come outside the warehouse to get food from the churches that was giving out sack lunches and stuff every 15, 30 minutes. In the area that was a prostitution area, rundown hotels where women used to do their thing and stuff of that nature. I slept in dumpsters. I ate out of dumpsters. There was family members that was a block away from the shelter. When I knocked on the door, they said they don't do homeless people. And we blood. Yeah, we blood. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it made me, that's why I learned how to rap, and I became a gospel rapper. I learned lyrically how to express myself in writing form. So on wax, I can tell them about themselves.
So that was gonna be my question. Like, how, with all of that you went through, like,
Mm-hmm.
how did you get to the point you are now?
A lot of prayer. Right now, currently, I stay with my sister and her husband. They have a ministries called Remnant Apostolic Center. So he's like the only major chief apostle in Arizona. So I'm under their covering. I'm under their teaching. They believe in everything about that's stated and imprinted in the Bible. So, we pray every morning. Bible studies every Wednesday, service Sunday at 3 p.m. So it's like I get that stuff embedded in my system. And it teaches me I can't hate. I can't walk around with hate and envy. I can't walk around saying this is my past, this is what this person did to me, so I deserve better. The only way I can get better is if I make it better. Autism or not. This world gives me a pass because I have autism. So rather soaking in my horrific messed up past, I can make a future. It's going to be luxury, glorious, and impactful. So I choose to do the second one.
Now, and that I love. Because like I said, with you putting yourself out there in the forefront, it's no holds bar. Like, you can get attacked at all areas from people that don't understand. And one of the things we discussed is family. Man, I don't know what it is about family and when there's a time of need and you're dealing with a child with a disability or an adult or anything on their lives, even going into the levels of depression, it's very, very, very rare that you can depend on family. Like,
well, I like to call it a situation amnesia. See, when you're on the phone with them and you saying,
Hey, you
"Hey,
need to copyright
girl,
that.
girl, I'm going through such and such. Oh, come up to my house or whatever." So when you go to your family's house and you tell them in full detail the situation, then they start scratching the back of their head, like, because I thought before I heard the whole situation that we can help. So you made me waste gas, time, and effort, and I beg you to help me. And this is for you to scratch the back of your head and tell me like, cuz, maybe I can get you some shelter numbers. 211 can do that. I came to you.
yes, they do.
So maybe having situation amnesia.
You need to copyright that. You need to
Yes,
copyright that.
because I love that. I'm about to
Dude,
start using
yeah,
that because I
yeah.
got I'm gonna say about 98% of my family got that amnesia for real. Because I know during this journey as a mother, this is one of the loneliest journeys. You don't find people that support you or help you. So I'm like, when I say like I'm the lone warrior, I take my son to all of his appointments. I have to find the job that works around his schedule. And even with that, that there's a place where, how do you want to say, if the school call and you don't answer, they can turn
Yeah.
right around after they hang up with you and call CPS.
Yeah. If you
So
didn't answer your
you
phone the first time.
have to be flexible when you have a child with a disability because they don't care. They looking for you to mess up. So you definitely gotta dot those I's and cross those T's. So man, I'm telling you, I definitely see both sides when being active. And even when I'm going to classes, when I tell you I am the only Black person in these classes, and I'm like, over years, I know I've gone to about 50 plus classes, and I'm the only Black person. But you see, the Mexicans, the white people, everybody else, they're in there, and they have their significant other with them, or either they got a whole line of family, like they done took up the whole conference side. And it's like, where are we? Because there are Black people with autism. We're proof of that. But where are y'all? And it's so many people in denial and just don't
Yeah.
want to deal with that diagnosis. And I know the
They're scared to be
diagnosis
judged.
hits different. Yes, it hits different. Some people get that diagnosis and it's like, hell, my life is over.
It's almost like a death. It's almost
Like a
like a
death
death
sentence.
sentence. Yeah,
Yes. And
and that's
you
just
are proof.
amazing.
You are proof that it's not a death sentence. Even with
No,
my son, I look at my son and look at all that he's accomplished. Because one, he's not supposed to be here. I almost lost him 8 years ago. He's not supposed to be here. So when I look at him, I have an admiration for him because this is my warrior. And he tells me all the time, Mama, I'm built for this. I got this.
Hmm.
Autism doesn't have me. And just his spirit, that gets me through, and his day-to-day accomplishments, that's what gets me through. But for me, with the health issues he had from birth till he got the diagnosis, when I got that diagnosis, it was relief for me because I was like, now it makes sense. Everything going down through the years makes sense. But many people get that diagnosis and they're like, oh my God. I had to work
I
with it.
think
Me
I think when my grandma
shooting.
first heard it, I think when
Mm-hmm.
my grandma first heard in April 12th, 1993, from Clifton Springs Mental Health Center by Dr. King, I was 10. I think when my grandma first heard it, I never seen an elderly woman put that much olive oil on the doctor. Never seen it before. I mean, it was a bunch of it. I mean, she was just going like this. I mean, like she was praying and speaking in tongues. You thought she had a revival. You know what I'm saying? But but she took me to places like Ryan's, Golden Corral, Piccadilly's, Old Country Buffet, when she knew I was gonna have public episodes. And then when people used to stare and say something to her like, ma'am, could you get your grandson or your child? And she just started praying and throwing holy oil on them and stuff of that nature, rebuking demons.
That's what I'm
She
talking
was
about.
she
Hey,
was a
grandma
different type
said
of
I'm
animal.
gangster. She said she a gospel gangster. You run up on me, I got olive oil for you. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But you have to have some gangsters in your life. On
Yeah.
this road, you have to have some gangsters. And the importance of, I know, like now, did they have like 504s and IEPs back then when you were
Yes,
coming up?
yes,
Yes.
my
Okay,
God.
that's good to know.
I stayed with IEPs. And then it got so bad where they used to make you sit right next to the other parent that had their time. So they used to do 30-minute IEP sessions. So you had to sit and
Wow.
hear your classmates' situation with their parents. So I remember one time Ms. Anderson basically said, Marcus is not using his brain, he's a vegetable. There's nothing that Marcus can do. I
Wow.
can't encourage him. I can't move him forward. He's not moving into his IEP, and he got low concentration, no mathematical skills, or anything else. My grandma simply stood up and said, didn't you graduate from high school? Ms. Anderson said yes. She said, well, didn't you graduate from college with some type of
Yes.
teaching certification or teaching classes? Ms. Anderson said she has a master's degree. So my grandma said, use the F word, master's degree, and teach him. Because if you can't make him better,
Yes.
I will. I do it for free. You get paid to supposed to do it.
Yes.
Mm.
And
So
go ahead, Daryl.
like just like y'all throwing out a whole bunch of 504s and IOPs and stuff like that.
I was finna break that down. I was
No, but
finna
no,
tap
actually
into the
I
conversation.
got two. It's a two-part question. Well, now it's one since you finna break it down.
But all
How
right.
did you guys find out about that stuff? Because I think a lot of our, as far as our Black community problem is, we don't know, and so we are afraid to take down that shield and ask, hey, what can I do for my son that's having these behavioral issues? What can I do for my daughter who's not speaking? And again, it goes back to what we said earlier about being judged. Like, what? How did you guys get past that fear of the unknown?
So for me, and I'm definitely going to give her a shout out right now. Francine Sanchez, one of my good friends, that she is a social worker. She loves working with people. So with Francine, she would always check on Asante. She knew about his diagnosis. And she said, you need to get him an advocate. Because she was asking me, well, how's this with school? I'm like, man, they calling and for me to pick him up like every day. And she's like, no, get him an advocate. She said, go to Brighton and tell them you need to sign up for an advocate. And I'm like, okay. So when I go to get this advocate, let me tell you how stuff work out. His advocate has two children with autism, one verbal and one nonverbal. And he says, well, let me ask you this, since this is going on in this behaviors, does he at least have a 504 plan? And I said, yeah, he has a 504. And the 504 gives information and guidelines on what can help him with his behaviors, what can help him with his learning. And it's, to me, is minimal. It's not very detailed. So once we start going through everything with him, he said, no, he needs an IEP. And an IEP is an individualized educational plan. It is a plan that is specific to your child. Your child, the thing about a kid with autism is they learn differently. Number one, they are not retarded, far from retarded. Number two, you have to tap into their way of learning. They're very intelligent. Asante can do math in his head, very smart. But everybody learns differently. Some people are visual, some people are hands-on. You have to figure out what works for that child when it's learning. And when you hit that button on the way that they learn, man, it is like a complete turnaround. And once they got it, it's like they just take off. But you have to put your pride and that Black stigma and the look of, I don't want people knowing my business and looking at me and all that. You have to put that pride aside and you have to do what's best for that child, because you're the reason why that child is here. Yeah.
What about you, Mark? What about you, Mark? What can you go
Well,
ahead?
back in the day, they was focusing on introducing 504 plans. You know what I'm saying? But it was really stronger on IEPs, and they had them once every month and stuff of that nature. They'll show your degressing, your progressing, and stuff of that area, written down stuff that you need to work on. If you're making sounds and loud noises in your classroom, then they say they had to separate you and put you in the timeout room for whatever. I went to a school for for individuals that had my same issue and other issues. It's called Sexton Woods. So when they used to put us in timeout room and the white clock for the 60 minutes, and it was padded and stuff of that nature, and it had the clear white bubble doors and stuff of that nature. Nobody really wanted to go in the timeout room, but every time they did the IEPs, you knew it was an IEP meeting because they get them bologna sandwiches that they normally don't serve at lunch, those little squeezable juices and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then they be like, well, sit down, Mrs. Boyd. Here is what we have to show you what your grandson has been doing for the whole 30 days. This is his IEP chart release. So we want to show you his actions. And then when they see all those X's, or, when they see all the stuff that needs to be corrected, then it's like, well, he's not trying his best. No, it may not even be that. It may be you're not teaching at your best. We can't always blame the autism individual because their actions is going to be, recurrent. Their actions is going to be routine. We already know that we think different, we look at things different, and, stuff of that nature. But you as a teacher, you always have to be creative. You always have to think outside the box and be on your feet. So if you can't do that for somebody that's saying that they need your full attention, then how can you do that with 25 other children?
Man.
And that's real because everybody doesn't have a heart for children with disabilities, period. And I know from my experience, there was a teacher, I swear up and down, she just didn't give a damn. Like my son was like an issue for her, and he felt that. He'd rather sit he would sit outside the classroom. He wouldn't even go into her classroom because he felt that from her. Like she had no understanding of anything that he was going through, paperwork and anything. And I'm like, have you read his paperwork? Have you went through his IEP? Because I know right now you're not following through with what you're supposed to do. So when that advocate came in, oh, he flipped the switch. When they see him coming, they are not happy campers because they know he coming with something and they better have everything, they P's and Q's, and be on point with it because he's going to call them on it. So it's, and to anybody out there, do not let these schools tell you what they cannot do.
Yep.
Yes, they can. They will try to discourage you from getting an advocate because they don't want nobody in their business. They getting paid, but they don't want to get paid to do it. They don't want to do what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to be getting paid for. They love when a parent has no knowledge of the
Yep.
benefits and what their child is allowed to get under the Disability Act. And it is a lot. Do not let them tell you that, oh, well, we only got one person and we got all these kids and we can't put, yeah, guess what? They get money, not only from the government. When your child has an IEP, they get money for that also to cater to that child. Please don't fall for the okie doke. I got caught up in that before I knew about IEPs and having an advocate. Do not let them tell you what they can't do because they can.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So Marcus, let me ask you this. So growing up with a family of like roughly 40 some people and going through everything that you went through, do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that it could be the resources that are available? That's part of the issue, or that's the issue.
Well, you have to understand something. You know, when you're in poverty projects and stuff of that nature, ain't nobody coming knocking at your door and says hi. We with the school board, and we notice difference she and your grandson, your child, or whatever. So here's some resources or some services that can help them out. We all looked at the same. We all treat the same. It's just another number that people are getting paid for to sit in the seat at a school function.
Mm, that's deep to say. That's, and again, I like this conversation because it's coming from somebody who's literally been through the shit, like everything that you've done, and dealing with autism, getting to the point where you're at now, talking about it, and for to hear you say that, it brings another light to it because you hear it all the time from people on the outside. Oh, there's not enough resources, blah 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 blah. But for somebody who's actually going through it and who went through it, to tell you like, hey, this is what's going on. This is how stuff really is. It's powerful. So
Uh, Listen, unfortunately, we had to cut this interview short. I'm not really feeling well,
okay,
Okay,
and
that's fine.
no problem,
I'm so
Marcus.
sorry.
I definitely
No,
want
that's
to
fine.
thank you for coming on and just talking with us, and I greatly appreciate it. Take care,
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and definitely check on you later, okay?
yeah, yeah. We'll check on you later, homie.
Ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Marcus.